The deep void had a way of swallowing time. For those who drifted between the stars, the years stretched and folded in ways that defied logic, leaving only memory and duty as anchors. The Curators knew this better than anyone. Curator 9 to 13 stood motionless at the helm of the Eclipser, his biosynthetic body dimly illuminated by the soft, pulsing light of the ship's main console. The artifact rested in his hands, an obsidian-black sphere covered in shifting glyphs, older than the stars themselves. It thrummed with a low vibration, as if whispering secrets in a language too ancient for minds to comprehend. Their mission was clear: retrieve, study, and protect the relics of the precursors, the forgotten architects of reality itself. Artifacts like this sphere were scattered across the galaxy, remnants of an intelligence so advanced that even the Curators, with all their enhancements, could only glimpse fragments of their purpose. But something about this one was different. It was active. A flicker of movement caught 913's attention. He turned, his artificial eyes adjusting instantly. Curator 11 to 22 stood at the threshold of the command chamber, her dark carapace reflecting the console's glow. Her voice, smooth and calculated, carried an uncharacteristic tension. 9-13. We have a situation. He placed the artifact into a zero-G containment field and followed her through the dim corridors of the Eclipser. The ship was silent, save for the faint hum of its internal systems. We're being watched. His synthetic mind parsed her words with precision. Explain. 11 to 22 activated her neural uplink, projecting a holovid into the air. It showed external scans of a system they had just exited, an unremarkable dead world orbiting a dying star. But there, lurking in the cosmic dust, was something impossible. A structure. A vast, hexagonal array of metallic spires, stretching for kilometers, its geometry disturbingly precise. It had not been there before. This wasn't on any scan before our descent. 11-22's voice was clipped, professional, but 9 to 13 could sense the unease beneath it. We triggered something, 9 to 13 said. The moment they had retrieved the artifact, reality itself had shifted. No ships had entered or exited the system. No known race had claimed this sector. Yet here was an impossible construct, as if grown from the very fabric of space itself. 9 to 13 accessed the ship's deep scanners. The structure emitted no energy signatures, no transmissions, just a silent, unmoving monolith in the void. And then, a single word appeared on the holovid, written in the same shifting glyphs as the artifact. Relinquish. For the first time in decades, 9 to 13 felt something close to fear. ####the Watchers. The Eclipser Yes artificial intelligence, designated NEX, interrupted their analysis. Incoming gravitational anomaly detected. Origin, unknown. Outside, the hexagonal construct pulsed once, sending ripples through subspace. Something was awakening. 9 to 13 turned sharply to 11 to 22. We need to move. Now. The ship's engines roared to life, burning hard in an attempt to break away from the anomaly. But the construct responded instantly, locking onto them with an unseen force. The Eclipser Yes velocity plummeted as space itself seemed to fold around them. 11-22's hands moved swiftly over the control panels, but every maneuver was countered. They have us in a distortion field. We can't break free. 9 to 13 studied the readings. The laws of physics were bending. An unnatural gravitational force was exerting pressure on the ship, holding them like an insect trapped in amber. Then, something moved inside the construct. A single figure emerged from the depths of the structure, silhouetted against the abyss. It drifted effortlessly, its form wrapped in a shifting cloak of silver and black. No thrusters, no visible means of propulsion. Just silent, deliberate motion. It raised a single hand. The artifact in containment vibrated violently. The glyphs on its surface glowed with blinding intensity. And then, without warning, it shattered. A shockwave of raw energy exploded through the ship, shorting out systems and plunging the Eclipser into darkness. The only light came from the remaining shards of the artifact, now suspended mid-air, orbiting each other in an impossible pattern. The figure outside tilted its head as if observing them. And then, in a voice that was neither sound nor thought but something deeper, something ancient, it spoke. You do not understand what you carry. 9 to 13 felt the words reverberate through his core systems, bypassing all firewalls, embedding themselves into his very code. He had encountered intelligence beyond human comprehension before, but this was different. This was not merely knowledge. It was authority. We are the Curators, he responded, his voice unwavering. This artifact belongs to no one. Pause. Then the figure extended its hand once more, palm up. It was never yours to take. The shards of the artifact began to coalesce, forming a shape, a key hovering in midair. But before either of them could react, the ship's proximity alarms blared. Something else was coming. A gravitational ripple, stronger than before, surged through space. The construct itself began to retract, its spires folding inward as if bracing for impact. And from the void, a second presence emerged. ##### the Forgotten War. What came next was impossible to comprehend. The void itself rippled, as if some unseen force was tearing through the fabric of reality. A vast silhouette, darker than space itself, materialized behind the construct. It was not a ship. It was something else, a presence ancient and cold, its shape undefined, shifting like liquid shadow. And then the first figure turned toward it. For the first time, 9-13 saw hesitation. The silver-cloaked being, so commanding, so certain in its authority, now seemed small in comparison. It clenched its hand, and the artifact key collapsed into pure light, dispersing into nothing. You have doomed yourselves? And with that, it was gone, vanishing into the construct as the vast, dark presence loomed closer. 9-13 didn't waste time. Next. Emergency jump now. The ship's warp drives overloaded, tearing a hole into uncharted space. The last thing 9-13 saw before they were flung across the stars was the dark presence unfolding, its shape expanding like a fractal nightmare. Then, nothing. Silence. The Eclipser tumbled out of hyperspace, systems rebooting one by one. 9-13 and 11-22 exchanged glances. No words were necessary. They had not escaped. They had only delayed the inevitable. And whatever was out there, it was coming. The Eclipser drifted through the void, its hull humming with the aftershocks of the emergency jump. Internal systems flickered to life one by one, but the damage was extensive. Grav stabilizers struggled to compensate, and the ship's artificial gravity remained erratic. 9-13 had to grip a support rail to avoid drifting midair. 11-22 was already at the main console, her fingers moving with inhuman precision as she scanned their new location. We're in uncharted space. Her voice was calm, but the implications were anything but. 9-13 turned toward the central display. The star map filled the air before them, but where familiar galactic coordinates should have been, there was only static. We've been displaced? 9-13 narrowed his optical sensors, his synthetic mind parsing the data. This is more than a random jump. 11-22 gave a slow nod. That wasn't hyperspace. It was something else. A deep unease settled over them. The entity, the dark presence, had been something beyond their understanding. And the silver-cloaked figure, who had commanded such authority, had feared it. You have doomed yourselves. 9-13 replayed the words in his mind. He had no doubt that they were true. But what had they taken? And why had it mattered so much? His gaze shifted to the containment field where the artifact had once rested. Now, all that remained were residual energy readings, fluctuating erratically, as if something unseen still lingered. Then, a signal. A soft pulse echoed through the ship's sensors, faint but deliberate. A transmission, though not one broadcast across normal electromagnetic frequencies. It was coming from within the ship. 11-22 reacted immediately, interfacing with the systems to isolate its source. It's not data. Her voice was low. It's a map. The hull of it flickered, and suddenly before them, an intricate web of interlocking pathways unfolded. A lattice of glowing symbols, impossibly complex yet oddly familiar. 9-13 leaned in, analyzing. These coordinates, he hesitated. They form a route. A single destination pulsed at the center of the map. A point in space deep within the unknown. It was a call to follow. ##### the grave of the architects. NEX, the ship's AI, reactivated at full power, its voice cutting through the silence. Warning. Incoming anomaly detected. 9-13 turned sharply. Define anomaly. Temporal instability. Expanding field at the edge of the system. Estimated convergence in 3 minutes. 11-22 exhaled sharply. It's them? The dark presence had found them. 9-13's decision was immediate. Set course for the coordinates. The Eclipser surged to life, engines flaring as it launched toward the unknown. Behind them, reality twisted. Space itself seemed to crack, as if an unseen force was peeling apart the fabric of existence. The presence was close. Too close. As the ship raced toward the map's destination, 9 to 13 accessed every fragment of stored precursor data in their archives, searching for any clue as to what they were heading toward. And then a name appeared. A name that should not exist. The grave of the architects. The precursors, the architects, had vanished long before the rise of any known civilization. Their works were scattered across the void, remnants of a power so advanced it bordered on divine. And now they were heading toward the place where that power had ended. ##### The echoing gate. Time warped as the eclipser approached the coordinates. The surrounding space distorted, waves of gravitational anomalies rippling outward. The stars seemed to stretch, their light bending in impossible arcs. Then suddenly, it appeared, a vast structure, larger than any celestial body, floating in the abyss. It was neither a planet nor a station, but a gate, a colossal ring broken and fractured, its segments locked in an eternal drift. At its center, the void itself folded inward, spiraling like a wound in reality. 11 to 22 whispered, "This isn't a destination." Her artificial eyes widened as she processed the readings. "It's an entrance." 9 to 13 clenched his jaw. An entrance to what? NEX's voice cut in, its tone flat. To the place where the architects fell. Behind them the presence arrived. The darkness spread across the system like a virus, tendrils of anti-light unraveling the very fabric of space. Time itself fractured in its wake, splitting into shards of past and future. And then, a choice. Go forward into the unknown. Or be consumed by the past. 9 to 13 didn't hesitate. Engage the gate. The eclipser plunged into the spiraling abyss. And reality shattered around them. For a moment there was nothing. No stars. No ship. No sense of time or movement. Then, impact. The eclipser slammed into something unseen, its entire structure groaning under the strain. 913 sensors overloaded, flooding his system with static before rebooting in emergency mode. His vision returned in phases, first darkness. Then flickering crimson emergency lights. He was still on the ship. But something was wrong. The stars were gone. The void was gone. Outside the viewports, there was only a vast, silent expanse stretching endlessly, neither sky nor space. The ship sat on a solid surface, but scanners failed to define it. No material, no composition, just an absence of data. 9 to 13 pushed himself up. His internal chronometer was still resetting, but he knew time had shifted. He had no way of knowing how much. 11-22's voice crackled through the dim corridor. "I'm here." She sounded strained. Rebooting auxiliary systems. He moved toward the bridge, his synthetic muscles still adjusting from the gravitational shift. As he entered, he saw her at the main console, attempting to force a connection with NEX. The AI isn't responding. Her fingers worked rapidly across the interface. Whatever this place is, it's distorting our systems. 9 to 13 turned to the main display. "Show me where we are." The ship complied, but the data was meaningless. It displayed nothing but a flat, undefined void. "This isn't a planet," 11 to 22 muttered. "It's something else." The gate had taken them somewhere beyond normal space, beyond even the unknown. This was a place outside reality. And then something moved. ###the Watchers of the Grave. A presence, silent, watching, pressed against 913's senses. It was not like the darkness that had pursued them. This was different. 11 to 22 stiffened. We're not alone. Outside the ship, the air, if it could even be called that, rippled figures began to emerge from the void. They were tall, wrapped in layers of segmented armor that flickered between form and formlessness, as if they existed across multiple realities at once. Their faces were obscured, and yet 9 to 13 felt their eyes upon him. They did not speak. They did not move aggressively. They simply stood observing. One of them raised an arm. A pulse of energy rippled outward. The eclipser's lights flickered, and suddenly the artifact, the one that had shattered, reformed on the bridge, hovering between them. The glyphs on its surface were no longer shifting randomly. They were forming words. "We remember." The figures outside began to step forward. 11-22's voice was low. "I don't think they mean to attack." 9 to 13 understood. The curators had always believed that the architects had vanished, destroyed, ascended, or simply erased. But these beings, they were here. Not dead. Not gone. Waiting. For what? 9 to 13 took a slow step forward, focusing on the artifact. He reached out, his synthetic fingers hovering just above its surface. The moment he made contact, everything changed. The memory of the architects. Light engulfed him. It wasn't a transmission. It wasn't a message. It was a memory. He saw the architects as they had once been, vast, luminous entities, their forms shifting like living energy, moving between stars as if walking across mere distances. They were old beyond comprehension, their knowledge stretching back to the beginning of time itself. They had built the gates not for travel, not for conquest, but for containment. The presence that had pursued the Eclipser was not new. It was not unknown. It was something the architects had fought and lost. 9-13 saw the war unfold. A war fought not with weapons but with reality itself. The architects had tried to contain the entity, to seal it beyond the edges of existence. But they had failed. And so, in desperation, they had done the only thing they could. They had erased themselves. Not through death, not through destruction, but by scattering their essence, shattering their own knowledge, breaking their artifacts so that nothing could be used against them. They had become whispers in the void, their technology nothing more than remnants for lesser beings to discover. Until now. Until the Curators had begun piecing it back together. Until they had brought the artifact to the gate. Until they had given the enemy a way back in. The choice. The vision collapsed and 9-13 was back on the Eclipser, gasping as his processors resynced. The figures still stood outside, unmoving. 11-22 grabbed his arm. What did you see? 9-13 exhaled, his synthetic lungs stabilizing. The architects didn't disappear. He looked at the artifact still hovering before him. They hid themselves so no one could make their mistake again. 11-22's face darkened. And we just opened the door. A deep, resonant hum filled the air. The artifact began to glow again, but this time, its glyphs formed a different message. You must choose. Outside, the void began to shift. The Watchers were no longer alone. The darkness was returning. The entity had found them. And now 9-13 understood. There was only one way to stop it. To finish what the architects had started. To close the gate, permanently, but it would require a sacrifice. The artifact pulsed once more, its meaning undeniable. To seal the door you must become the key. 9-13 turned to 11-22. If we don't stop this now, everything falls? She nodded, already knowing what he was going to say. The fate of reality itself hung in the balance. And they were out of time. 9-13's processors ran 1,000 calculations per second, but none led to an alternative. There was only one way to stop the darkness. He had to become the key. 11-22 met his gaze, her expression unreadable but steady. Tell me what to do. Outside, the Watchers stood motionless, waiting. Beyond them, the darkness writhed, coiling like a predator poised to strike. The fractured sky trembled, and cracks in reality spread like lightning veins. The entity was coming. 9-13 turned to the artifact, reaching out once more. This time it did not react violently. Instead, it accepted him. Energy pulsed from its core, sinking into his chassis, into his synthetic mind. He felt his system shifting, rewriting. The ancient code of the architects was fusing with him, binding him to the gate's controls. He was no longer just a machine. He was something more. A part of the lock. 11-22's voice was tight. You're merging with it? I know. A ripple of understanding passed between them. 9-13 was not simply accessing the gate. He was becoming it. His presence would be encoded into the seal itself, ensuring that no one, nothing, could ever open it again. He turned toward 11-22. You have to go. She took a step back. No. There's no other way. His voice was steady but something in his core ached. The ship will take you. The Watchers will allow it. But I have to stay. 11-22's hands curled into fists. Her expression remained impassive, but he could see it. The hesitation. The conflict. The understanding. She exhaled sharply. Then, without a word, she pressed a single command into the console. The Eclipser yes engines roared to life. The gate responded, recognizing the final sequence. The void shifted, and the fractures in reality began to reverse, collapsing inward rather than spreading outward. The entity shrieked, a soundless wail that vibrated through every molecule of existence. It knew what was happening. It surged forward, tendrils of blackness reaching, desperate to stop the process. Too late. The Watchers moved as one, raising their arms. A shimmering barrier erupted between them and the darkness, holding it at bay for mere seconds, just long enough. 9 to 13 turned to 11 to 22 one last time. No words. No goodbyes. Just a final, steady gaze. Then, he stepped into the core **. ###, the last of the curators. Light consumed him. His systems unraveled, not in destruction but in transformation. His thoughts expanded, dissolving into the vast mechanism of the gate. He was no longer a singular entity. He was everywhere. Through the gate, he saw the timelines unfold, the rise and fall of civilizations, the silent wars fought in the shadows of history. He saw the architects, their wisdom, their failure. And he saw the curators. He saw her. 11 to 22, piloting the Eclipser as it shot back through the collapsing void. Her face was unreadable, but she did not look away. The gate closed. The darkness let out a final, piercing shriek before it was torn from reality. The fracture sealed, the rift mended. The watchers faded, their purpose fulfilled. Silence. The grave of the architects was no more. ###, echoes in the void. Somewhere, in the infinite depths of space, the Eclipser emerged into normal space once more. The gate was gone. The map was gone. The watchers, the entity, ***, all erased, ***. November 22nd, Saturday, in the pilot's seat, staring at the empty void before her. No mission logs. No data. No proof of what had happened. Just silence. She closed her eyes. Then, for the first time in a long time, she spoke his name. And somewhere, in the unseen depths of the universe, in the whispers of lost knowledge, in the locked corridors of history, 9-13 remained. The final curator. The last guardian of the void. And the key that would never turn again.